Hey guys, how you doing? This is my first YouTube video that I've actually made that would be long. I usually do quick inserts, don't have a lot of followers yet, but I'll be honest with you guys, I've always wanted to get in here and just be open about what kind of trader I am, what kind of person I am, what kind of business owner I am, what my background is. It's a little different than the average trader. If you're looking to hear about kind of how my story started, this is how it started. Just to give you a little background, I'm 48 years old. I'm not the average. I mean, I'm not the average 20-year-old, 30-year-old trader that's on here. I don't pump lifestyle. I'm not big into that. I'm in this for a different thing. I know I don't have the fancy cars or the fancy jewelry on or the grill or whatever else. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their thing that they want to do. I got into trading when I was in my late 30s. I've been in the industry now for going on 12 years. I decided to not only get into the trading industry, but I was an entrepreneur before. When I first opened my first business, I was in my late 20s. I decided to get into trading full time because I was tired of the employee thing. I didn't want to have to call people to see if they were going to go to work. You know, that was the idea. I got tired of dealing with the everyday struggle of depending on my employees. So I know there's some people out there that are business owners that are trying to figure out what is it that gets people in this industry. It's just being tired of being stuck and held to either a person or a company. At the time I was working with the state. So I was stuck with the state. They held the strings. And this is going to be uncut, guys. Just to let you guys know, I'm not going to pause it and go back and edit it. I'm just going to throw it on YouTube, see what happens. So anyways, guys, my trading started in a multi-level, a very popular multi-level. And let me grab my water. And this multi-level went under just recently, but I knew a lot of the big people in the industry. And I didn't want to do the whole recruiting thing. I wanted to learn this industry. I legitimately want to do that. I did it at the beginning, and then I got really tired of it. And I was like, you know what? I just want to learn. So luckily, I got a hold of somebody that was very young at the time, and I was in my late 30s. And they were able to help me for a few months, but I was kind of on my own. Years later, after all the trials and tribulations, I finally got it. And it's not a simple process, but I'll tell you one thing. You have to go through it to understand it. And a lot of people that come in and that I teach now, they haven't gone through it yet. They're in a process of that circle of just like recreation, I guess you can say, where they start and they hop around from guru to teacher, trying to figure out what strategy is the best. And usually it's the same stuff that's being taught: fair value gaps, smart money concepts, stuff like that. ICT, which is nothing wrong. Like I said, I'm not against anybody's teachings. I think it could be simpler, but I think it's all mental. Everybody has to go through that mental part of it and go through that series of trying to rewire their brain and figure out what is good for them, psychology-wise. Then you get into the trading, what kind of trader you want to be, what time frames you want to work on. So I started in the whole, excuse me, my asthma's bothering me today, guys. My bad, I'm a little, but I got into the swing trading part of it for a little bit, and I just realized that wasn't me because I'm very high strung. I need to get into something a little faster. So I stuck to the scalping end of it, and I enjoy that. I've been doing that for a long time. Started in Forex, hopped around to binary options, which is that's another story. I got into binary options, got into stock options, traded a little crypto, got into futures for a little bit. I stuck with indices, and I do a little Forex right now. I didn't want to teach. When I went full time, my fiance kept telling me, go full time, go full time, go full time. You're good at what you do. But I finally did it, sold off my companies, but then at the same time, I didn't want to teach either. And all the things I didn't want to do, I ended up doing. I didn't want to start another business. I did that too. And I'll tell you what, man, getting in this industry and actually helping others, that's what I'm all about now. Like, I really want to help people. Like, I don't want people coming to me for the lifestyle. I think that's where I stopped myself. I mean, I'm a little older, so I figured in my mind, I really don't want to go there like everybody else. I want people to come to me because the knowledge. They're gonna get something out of this. Excuse me, guys. they're going to get something out of it. You know, they're going to get some knowledge out of it. They're going to get some education. What I'm going to show them is what I'm doing. I'm never going to go off on a tangent and show something that I'm not doing. So I got in this industry to do that. I wanted it to be bigger than me, you know, and it's hard to believe anybody on here, guys, even myself. I mean, you know, people come on, I go on to social media and do lives and people are like, oh, you're just like everybody else. You know, you sell courses and you're a scammer. And I'm like, wow, like, honestly, I don't think going out and asking people to pay for something that you've put time into, your blood, sweat, and tears, which, you know, we all do as traders. What is wrong with asking somebody to pay a small fee just to help you? Now, I am a little debatable on what is big and what is small, but at the same time, this is a world of whatever price you want to put it at. So everybody has their value that's different. Anyway, in my situation, I wanted to keep it simple. You know, I didn't want to go into this complicated trading strategies. I wanted to keep it simple. Common sense trading, simplistic trading is where I'm really pushed myself to stay. And I'm happy to stay there because it seems like it resonates with the average person. And that's what I want. I want the average person to be able to learn. I want the mom and dad, the worker for McDonald's, the person that is a landscaper, the person that just works at a hotel, you know, the average worker to be able to learn this. I'm not looking for the person that's wanting to, you know, invest in large amounts of money and wants to learn your stuff, which is fine. I opened the door for them too, but years later now, I've been teaching for 2 years on TikTok, most of it. I'm not came on YouTube very often, but what I'm trying to do now is really get people to understand. I've seen so many flaws in this industry when it comes to just everybody after every trader on here, whether it's good or bad. It just seems like it's a lot of repetitive stuff that you see when it comes to lifestyle and all that, which of course it grabs the masses, and I'm sure it does, and I probably won't get a lot of followers because of this, but simple, that's fine. My goal is to get out the information and be able to let people know that there's a way outside of that. You know, if you're not looking for that, there are people like myself on YouTube that are trying to do this from a very simplistic standpoint and teach the average, you know. Mental health is huge. Outside of trading, it's like, you know, just trying to keep yourself from piling too much on your plate. I see a lot of the people here on YouTube that actually just pile so much, and you can see they live a very lonely life. You know, it's like, yeah, I have all this money, but I'm living by myself. I don't have anybody around me to share my life with, rather than, you know, the same people or, you know, a partner. And I've seen that a lot of people, you know, struggling with that. And money doesn't bring you happiness. It just makes time for you, which is valuable. But at the same time, you have to have a little bit of fulfillment within yourself to be able to share it with somebody close to you, you know, and I'm lucky to have that. The internet is a bad thing. And when social media is crazy, I mean, I look at it like that and I'm like, people say so many mean things, you know. Back in my days, you know, I come from the streets, so we handle things different. Now everybody hides behind a camera, you know, hides in their mother's basement. You can't deal with them normally, you know, like how I would do back in my 20s. But in the same token, it's like the bullies are out there. I get it on my lives. I do. And I tell anybody on here, you just have to ignore them. I think it's easier as you get older. There are some things that kind of hit you to the core, but you just kind of leave it alone. I don't go out there and try to prove everything to everybody. Like, oh, let me see your P&L. I don't think that's important to anybody. I truthfully think that, and this is just me. Anybody can call me out here on YouTube, but I'm going to tell you straight up, my P&L doesn't matter. And I'll tell you why. Because I think, and I come from the old school where if I ever asked my mother and father what they made, I'd probably get smacked because it was none of my business. But my P&L doesn't create an income from somebody else. People say, well, you have to show this because you have to prove who you are. And it's very funny because it's like, if I was making millions of dollars a month, would that do anything for you in a sense of putting food on the table for the kids? Or would that put money in your bank account? Would that get you a trip, a vacation? Does it matter? You know? And I'm sure I'm going to get comments on this, but that's fine. You know, my whole thing is I'm not out to prove anything to anybody, but does my stuff work? You could ask my students. I've got over 800 students that I've taught in the last 2 years and people that are still with me after 2 years that are still doing fine. Now, why do I hold on to a lot of my people? Because we don't pump lifestyle. We're not interested in that. Nothing against it. Again, everybody out there does their own thing. But I have nothing to prove on that. My knowledge is what I want to leave behind. What I have and I've learned and what has helped me to create an income. I'm not going to say success because I don't believe in income is success. I think success is based on what you're feeling inside, like the time. I want more time. Do I have an end all goal? No. I will do this till probably the day I die. Do I enjoy it all the time? No. I want to do other things. Trading is sometimes just a part of what I do, because to me, it's becoming kind of a routine after almost 12 years where I go in, I do my thing in the morning, and then I'm done. It's like I only trade in the morning and I'm finished. I noticed that when I cut out my my push to try to chase the market throughout the day, I've noticed that I've done better. I only trade the morning sessions and I'm done. Now I get on with the Asian session with my team and we trade in the late evening. I'm located on the West Coast, so I do that for them. But am I trading in my real account? No, because I only trade in the morning. So my whole thing is just, trying to focus on what works for you and what works for me. And I don't get into people's psychology, but I try to tell them this is what I've done, and I've been through it all, man. I got, I've been through the whole the mental games played when it comes to trading. And I've been through the whole process of trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. I've beat myself up. I've thrown laptops and broke them. I just bought a brand new one. I broke probably 4 or 5 laptops. I've busted up monitors. I have my temper when I was younger was fire. Now I'm just mellowing out. But from the flawed end of this industry, guys, it's a big mental game. And I know traders on here will know that. If you're watching my stuff, you'll know that it's a big mental game. You have to learn how to lose. That's the biggest thing. You have to be a good loser, and that's the hardest part. Now, if you can come up with something that's going to minimize the loss, that's even better, because you're not exposing yourself too much to the market where you end up taking massive losses, But the mental aspect of it is key, because you're going to have a lot of psychological things that you go through. And I went through all that, guys. I've been through all that. I've dealt with all that. My reason for coming on here is to let people know, this is attainable to anybody if they really want it. It's not as hard as you think. I think the hardest part about this industry is getting your mind right and rewired. That's the hardest part. Having to refile your brain, having to understand that your brain has to work a different way. When you're living life, it's one way. When you're trading, it's another. It does help with real life things. The patience, being able to understand that sometimes you do take loss and you have to absorb that, especially monetary loss. But at the same time, if you just plan out your day, like I tell my students all the time, it's a system. We don't create just a strategy. We have to have a complete system from A to Z. And that helps people to understand that this industry is gonna play games with you, and you have to know how to react and pivot. My biggest problem in trading was pivoting, because change for me was very hard. I struggled with change. I went through a lot in my life, and I had a lot of change happen, and I struggled with it psychologically. I did. So now I realize that, trading has made me a lot stronger with my patience and my confidence. And I'm not so confident that I'm cocky, but internally I'm cocky. Internally I'm cocky, but outside I'm not like that. What I want to do more on YouTube is really get with people and help them understand that this industry is not as bad as people think it is. People have smeared it. There's a lot of people out there that have smeared it. I'm not going to name names or say anything like that, but it's the truth. People have smeared it for the benefit of themselves. There's nothing wrong with selling courses. I don't know why people get on that. It just irritates me. It's like, if somebody wants to sell a course and somebody wants to know what they did, there's nothing wrong with that. Just like would it be wrong for me to go open a burrito stand on the corner just because Bob had one down the street? No, of course not. You're selling your food. You're selling your knowledge. That's what we do as traders. We're huge on that. We hope people get our back on this, because we don't give that away. It's something that we go through, and we even put our families through to just give you that knowledge. And we're willing to sacrifice and put that all from day one. The hardest part for me when I got into teaching this, doing a course, was to go at that time 10 years, go 10 years back and start from the beginning and get the thought process as a brand new person. And that was tough. And I just didn't think I could do it. It took, that first course I did, it took me 3 months, and it was simple. It was probably a 30-hour course. So it's not easy. But people don't realize the struggles we go through. It's like, oh yeah, you're making money now. Everybody. I've had people get on my live and say, oh, you're a millionaire. I'm like, what, millionaire? When did I ever say that? I think success is based on the person's, personal stuff. Like, so to some success, to some people is living out in the mountains by themselves, away from everybody. Success to people is living in a high rise and making a lot of money. Success to me is time. I'm not getting any younger, and I want time. I just recently had a grandson, and I want to spend time with him and my son. So these are things that should be important. And I look at it as generational wealth. Are we leaving our kids anything? Are we offering our kids knowledge that they can go and create this for themselves and open up a door to where they can make an income and not have to struggle and go to work like we did and repeat the process over and over and over until, far down the road, you've got your family finally struggling and the world isn't getting any cheaper. So are we going to stop that process somehow? And that's why I do this. So I'm hoping it helps everybody out there. That's the biggest thing for me. So again, I kind of get, I don't have this scripted, guys. This is raw, but why am I doing this? Like, this is a good question. Like, why are us traders doing this? Why am I doing this? I'll tell you why I'm doing this. I'm doing it because it's bigger than me. And I'm a big guy, it's bigger than me. It's helping people get ahead. It's helping people understand that there's more to life other than going out there and working. That it's giving somebody a side hustle so they can make a little income, maybe take their kids to Disneyland, I do it for different reasons. I'm sure a lot of the traders on here that have the lifestyles, they're doing it for their reasons too. But monetarily, it just gives me time. Monetarily, I wanted to give people time too. I had a friend of mine that passed away of cancer. Okay, she used to tell me all the time. I had a business at that time. I was running a couple of businesses, and I used to tell her, I grind. I'll sleep when I'm dead. I used to tell her, and she used to say, those memories are what you're going to take with you when you go. You should take more time with memories. At that time, I didn't know she had cancer. Okay. Went and had a beer with her one day. This is back when I was drinking. I don't drink anymore. Went to a bar and we had a beer and we had a good time. Talk. We were friends, just friends. There was nothing between us. Friends. She was always talking about just making memories. She was always talking about, like, can you stop it already? I don't want to hear about it, And she said to me, you're going to regret it one day. Little did I know, a month later, she was diagnosed with cancer. She already had it at the time, but I found out. And she passed away a month after that, left behind her teenage daughter. Got to see her graduate. The sad part is we don't realize that our time on this earth is very limited. Memories is what we all have and we can take with us, but the monetary stuff, it isn't. If you need the monetary stuff to get to the memories, cool. The Lambo, whatever you need. I'm a little different, I don't mind the big 4-wheel drive truck. That's what I have. But are you doing this for the right reasons? Because people get so tied up in money, that's all it becomes. Can you be happy with a few thousand a month, covering the bills, maybe doubling up what you make at your work or your job? Can that cover your happiness? Because I know you just want to hang out with your kids, or you want to just take your girlfriend out or your wife out and just enjoy life, Sometimes fame and fortune and all the things that come with social media becomes the bigger thing, And I think when my father told me before he passed away last year in November, he told me, always stay grounded. Never forget where you come from. I come from an area growing up was full of gangs and drugs and crime, and I got myself in a lot of trouble. And I've came a long way for my life to kind of understand where I'm at now. And I have to sometimes stop myself because I'm a workaholic and I work a lot. It's to sit back and look and see what I've done and where I'm at now. To me, mentally, it doesn't seem like I've came very far, but I'm realizing now, if I can share this with somebody on here and get them to understand, you've done a lot. Sometimes we won't make the $1 million. Sometimes we won't Maybe I might not even hit the, the $1 million mark in my trading, but where I'm at right now, I'm good, And do I want to do more? Sure. It's considered an internal goal. If I make more money with it, cool. If I don't, cool, I'm good, but I have time with my family. The small things like, getting family together and paying for a trip, or paying, like I'll be paying for Thanksgiving this year for everybody. I mean, well, we're going to have it catered. I mean, that's important to me. Those are things that are important. Whatever is good for you, that's going to create the happiness within yourself. Buying a Rolex if you need to. I've had two and I got rid of them, never wore them. I just couldn't do it. Buying a new car, whatever's going to motivate you, do it. But do it for the right reasons. Always be willing to give to others. Always be willing to work with others. It's okay to sell a course. It's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But do it for the right reasons. Do it from your heart. And be there when the person needs to ask you a question. I don't like this whole sell you a course and dip out and never hear from the person. That's terrible. And a lot of my team that have came from other people, they've told me that I had somebody tell me one time that one of their mentors wanted to charge them $700 to talk to them for 45 minutes. Come on, guys. I mean, really? Is that how egotistical you are out there, that you cannot even give your people time that have invested a $2,000 or $3,000 course just to talk to them, answer their questions? Can you take time out of your travels or your, you time, or you being on TikTok or social media just to talk to them and tell them, hey man, I care. I'm here. What do you need? You can cut it off if it gets too crazy. But the thing is, you can always be there for your people because they trusted you to invest that money in you to help them. I think it's taken a lot of time out of my day, which I had to start kind of drawing the line. And I brought on other mentors for my team and my groups, and my company's called Simplora X. And I brought people on that could help me with that time. And I'm realizing now that I'm glad I did that, because now I have time to care and give my people a call and say, hey man, where you been, man? Is everything okay? Or hey, is there anything I can do? There's a saying, and I don't want to ruin it. I was just going to say it. I'm going to ruin it. I don't want to say it. But you have to show that you care about your people. And you know what I'm talking about right now, that saying, but I'm going to ruin it if I say it. And I'm going to sound dumb, so I'm not going to say it. But understand, guys, if it's not trading, get into something else. Find yourself something else to do. Have a plan B. Have a plan C. Because sticking yourself all in one basket for your job, if you can be hired, you can be fired. Okay? If you can be in a position in your life where you're here, there might be a day that you might get sick and be here. I have health issues in the past, still do to this day. And I'll tell you what, you're only here for a short time. Make a difference in people's lives. Spend time and memories. That's the biggest thing. And understand, money doesn't make you as a person. If you're making a ton of money, be humble. Be humble and understand that money can be gone that quick, guys. It can be gone very fast. So I personally, myself, it's not a motivator. It's there. It helps. The whole situation of having time with my family, time with my fiance, and having time to do the things that I can do before I go, and the memories. So spend it that way. I mean, I know a lot of people aren't going to take me and be like this boring guy on your bug trades, but at the same time, man, have a reason to want to do this, and you have the reason bigger than you. I'd like to challenge everybody out there. If you can find somebody to help and do it for free without a monetary gain, and spend a little time with them. I'm not saying, hours with them, but I mean, spend a little time with them and make a difference. Do it. Do it. Help somebody. Show them what you've learned and put them on and let them learn, because there's a lot of people out there that need that help. I know a lot of people are in this for the cash game and for the paper chase, but guys, honestly, if you can find somebody to help out there for free and see a difference in their lives, how proud you would be of that person when they get down your course or your strategy, and you're like, man, that's the $10,000 course. I always tell my team that. I don't charge that much for my course. Very inexpensive. I think my most expensive course is $497. And I tell them, listen, man, when you do well, that's my $3,000 and $4,000 course right there. Seeing you come to me and say, hey, Pug, you know what? I made my first $100. Hey, Pug, I just passed my prop firm challenge. That right there blows my mind. I love it. and I'm there to support them as much as I can. So understand, guys, this industry is not as bad as you think. There are people that care. And I'm sure there's a lot of traders on here that you see every day that want to do it for the right reasons. It's just getting tied up in the social media platforms to bring people to watch them because people want to see the riches, the big money. That's what drives people. Even sexuality is becoming the big thing nowadays, and people are not seeing that as maybe that's not you. You know, be real, be the person you are, and never change. And it's hard to talk to younger people. I mean, I'm an older guy. I mean, he's boring, you know. But if you can do it for the right reasons and help people, man, that's a big deal. There's a few gurus on here that I really admire for their love for people. You know, you don't hear that very often. And I'll tell you what, I respect them, and I'm not going to say names either because I'm not like that, but I respect you for caring for people and wanting to do for others. That's a big deal, because when you can do for others, not just your family, not just your immediate family, for other people out there. I mean, there are some people on here that are just total train wrecks on social media, but they still help other people, and that's awesome. Then you see their heart, you know? And then, but there's a lot of bad mental health type things going on too, and I see that too. And that's the reason why I didn't want to come on YouTube. It's just so tied up in a lot of bad things sometimes. I love YouTube, but I look at it as there's a lot of people out there that do this just so that's what drives their life. You know, it's like, take a step back and look at what you've created and just be happy with what you got and do it for the right reasons, you know? Anyways, that's coming from an older guy, so... Anyways, guys, I wanted to give you a little piece of what I feel in this industry, where I've been, where I'm at now. I'm not where I want to be. I want more, to challenge myself, not financially, but just see how far I can go in my thought process. I opened a prop firm. I kept sending people off as an affiliate to a prop firm. I opened my own prop firm. I said, you know what? I'm just going to open my own prop firm. People can come directly to me and ask me questions. Opened my own technology company. I code my own indicators, build my own stuff for people so they don't have to go anywhere else, and they can come directly to me if they have questions. Open my own education company. I trade every morning with my own people in my own account. So, man, you know, I just try to keep it like Walmart underneath one roof. That's all I try to do. But anyways, guys, sorry for the amateur look here and all that. I don't got all the fancy lights behind me and everything, but thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of my journey. If you do follow me, I will continue to keep putting content on here. Much love to everybody out there. And if you have any questions, please reach out. I am open to speak to anybody. But other than that, have yourself a blessed day, guys, and thank you for jumping on. Take care.